My friend was quoted over $18,000 by a contractor to renovate her bathroom. I said, absolutely not. We'll do it at cost. I bet we can do it for less than $4,000, maybe. Let's get into it.
When preparing to demo your bathroom, remember to turn off plumbing. That goes without saying. Typically, you can just do it at the localized shut-off fixtures under your sink and toilet. Safety gear is a must. Eye protection for sure. Earplugs are nice when you're swinging hammers and breaking things apart. This window will be removed. So here we're taking out the trim. Our shower surround kit really doesn't have access for a window. It won't make sense to keep it. I personally hate windows in showers. It dates the house. It shows it to be kind of an old-fashioned house. So I like to remove windows in showers. It is very satisfying to see this tile coming off the wall. It was not in good condition. How to remove your cast iron tub.
You could take it out in one piece, although it's crazy heavy and you're probably going to damage the doors and the walls somewhere else in the house as you're removing it. So you want to really cut it up right halfway, take it out in 2 chunks or even smaller pieces. 10-pound sledgehammer or larger. This is what you want to use. This will get it out quickly and you can get on with your remodel project.
Okay, half the tub is out and now the second half is coming out.
I would say with 2 guys breaking it up, carrying it out in chunks was very reasonable. In real time, we had it busted up and out of here. Tops 15 minutes tops, so that's really quick and efficient. Okay, so today we want to install a new shower fixture. We're going to do it only in PEX tubing. If you haven't tried PEX tubing, the world is moving on without you. It is definitely the future. Galvanized has gone away. Copper's become an old and antiquated. CPVC and other types of plastic formulations have all gone away. I've seen it in beginner entry-level homes and multi-million-dollar mansions. You really only need a couple components. A PEX tubing cutter. This one even has a replaceable blade. And then your crimping tool. We're going to cut away the existing water pipe. Now, whenever you open up your walls in a bathroom remodel, always expect the unexpected. We found more rot than we anticipated, but that's kind of normal. Also, this 2x4 stud, which was holding their shower head completely unsupported. Look at it just waving there at us. So we'll, of course, have to measure in between this opening and install a new 2x4. Okay, so standard shower fixture height is 36 inches to 48 inches max off your finished floor. So you want to measure up for that. We're going to guesstimate on the finished floor when the shower pan is in. But that's the comfortable range, 36 to 48 inches. Okay, so we're going to get the adapter piece on first before we secure this to the wall. It looks like it's going to be a lot quicker and easier. When it's metal against metal, you do need Teflon tape to seal in there. Teflon tape is super easy to work with. Don't be intimidated by that. When you look at the threads, the Teflon tape will go on clockwise. So when you put it into the fitting, it actually tightens that tape up. Trusted pair of channel locks.
The placement of your shower fixture on the wall, the depth of the wall, would depend on how thick your surround. Are you using cement board and tile, or is it a prefabricated shower system?
All right, so the system is made up of these rings, the actual fittings, and they come in every configuration you can think of. This one is simply just a coupler to extend piping. They have 90-degree angles. They have copper to PEX adapters. They have male-female adapters, really everything you can think of. So we're going to go from the existing plumbing from the basement. So you put the ring on first, then the coupler. Now you want to make sure the fitting is all the way down tight, and then your ring comes up. The gap there on the end of the pipe, the manufacturer specs out at 1/4 inch or less, 1/8 to 1/4 inch. That's what you want to see. And when you crimp that down, they'll be right on the barbs that you want to see. Your crimper tool is worth your investment. It'll last probably a lifetime. Of course, it has the most common sizes as 3/4 inch, which is your main water lines typically, and 1/2 inch, which is your individual feed. So those are the most two common sizes you'll see in residential plumbing. So you're going to go over the ring. We're at the 1/2 inch size here, and you're going to clamp it firmly down. Okay, and release. Okay, after you crimp it, you really want to use a go or no go. It might come with the crimper tool, or you might have to buy it on your own. Here it shows 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. So that should gently slide over the ring. If it fits, you're crimped tight enough. If it doesn't fit, you didn't get a good crimp on that. And then check again with your gauge to make sure that it fits all the way in. Okay, all of the crimp fittings are in. We double checked with the go, no go gauge. We did turn on the water with the valve in the off position, let the air come out, turned it on and checked, and it's when we turn it back off, it's holding pressure just fine. We checked every single one of our fittings. You really should try PEX out. It is definitely the way to go for plumbing.
So here we've decided to remove the window, so in the new shower surround it won't be an issue at all. Basically we cut out the nails and the fasteners, and it pulled out fairly easily. There's our rough opening. We installed new framing to match the existing wall thickness, cut out the sheathing out of thick plywood.
So we're going to board this up. Of course, we'll weatherproof it, caulk it, and put exterior grade siding or similar on it. I've seen people, believe it or not, just paint that. You do have to put siding or some kind of exterior grade appropriate covering.
Here's the interior of that enclosed window. Of course, we will insulate the exterior walls. Next, moving on to the plumbing installation of the shower fixture. We elected to use PEX tubing. Excellent product, so easy to work with, makes your bathroom renovations go on so much quicker.
2-inch pipe cutter. I was skeptical this was going to work. We got our mark. We need a 2-inch pipe for drains. This is rated up to 2.5-inch pipe. I didn't think it was going to work. You do got to use some muscle, but boy, it does cut right through. And the ends are pretty straight, and the ends don't really have a lot of burrs on them. So we're making some adjustment on this 2-inch shower drain trap. And when you find the perfect angle, go ahead and draw a line across the pipe. And then when you solvent weld it, glue it together, you can just match up that line and you know you're on the right spot.
Some jurisdictions may require colored primer to show that the drains were glued together properly. This purple primer will stain if you drop it on any finished area of your bathroom, so be careful when working with it. Here we are cutting out a subfloor for our new shower. Cutting out the hole in the new subfloor for the shower drain, 2-inch drain. The manufacturer specs will tell you where to cut the height of the shower drain for your particular type of shower enclosure.
Getting close to putting your surround in, you do want to check all your corners to make sure you have enough nailers. So a 2x4 will have to be installed here so the surround has something to secure to.
When adding additional framing, screws are much easier than nails. Here, adding additional blocking per the manufacturer's instructions for the shower enclosure.
Okay, time to install the drain into your shower pan. There's only two styles. There's a 2-inch glue or solvent weld type. The problem with that is you have to have access underneath to be able to connect it. So you'd have to have an accessible basement or crawl space. In a lot of cases, you're not going to have access underneath. That's where you want a compression drain. So this type is really nice to use. You can do the final 2-inch PVC connection from the shower side, from the bathroom side. So you start by taking off the nut. And then here, traditionally people do plumber's putty, although the manufacturers now are warning you that you want to use silicone because plumber's putty is bad for plastics. You want the back lip level and check it left and right and then front and back. After you're sure it's level, next you can mark the top of all the stud locations.
Pre-drill all your holes in the shower pan. You don't want to screw directly through them.
The pan is secured to all the studs. It's level, adhesive to the subfloor. All the screws are in, everything's shimmed. And then you want to dry fit your wall panels to make sure everything's going to fit first. So you always start with the exterior wall. That's the back panel. You're going to dry fit it, make sure everything's level before you do the adhesive and go to the next steps. Okay, so dry fit's pretty good. We did check it for level up here and it's dead on, so that looks perfect. So now you can pre-drill all your top locations and put in the adhesive. Dry fit the left panel. Okay, the third and last panel you do need to cut out for the plumbing. You can measure over, of course, but you only get one shot to do it right. So we're going to take a piece of cardboard and use it as a template where that's going to be, and then we'll transfer that mark to the panel. Okay, we transferred the measurement with the cardboard template. We also double checked with a tape measure. We feel good that we're on the right spot. So you just adhere it on the back side of the opening, and then you take your utility knife and just cut that out. Dry fit the last and third panel. Okay, so that fits. You can service it. Everything fits there. Check your reveals and your gaps. Level it one last time. All right, so we got a temporary brace up. You also want to brace the outer wall where you had that extra lateral support with the adhesive. You want to push on that. When everything hardens and dries for the adhesive, you're good to come in with the final caulking. The manufacturer recommends all these inner seals be caulked with a bathroom caulk, and you also caulk the very bottom where the walls meet the shower base. After that, you are done with your new shower surround. You can install doors as the next step, which we will do, or you could just do a curtain. Okay, all bathrooms need some type of ventilation. This bathroom never had it, and there is mold spotting on the walls, so we want to provide a way to vent out this bathroom. We're going to install this bathroom ventilation fan today. You do want to have some kind of idea what kind of framing you're looking at above, whether it be 2-foot on center trusses or wood ceiling joist. You can see the profile of the box is quite wide, so it's much larger than a light fixture where you just have a little circle to put in the ceiling. You want to know where the framing is. You can use a stud sensor. In this case, we're able to go in the attic and kind of measure off the wall and see where we're going to be when we drill through the ceiling. Okay, so we found our drill mark. This is an older house with wood lath plaster, so you want to be careful not to put any weight on that. Now this gives us our reference so we can mark out and cut out the ceiling for the opening of the vent. So the best practice is to remove the old metal work box and just fish the wire through the wall, and you can pull it through. This metal box was so stubborn we couldn't get it out no matter what. So I have to do drywall work in the same room anyway, so we just went ahead and did a new exploratory hole, pulled the Romex wire down that way, and we're good to go now. So now we're just preparing the new wires to tie into the old work, so the switch will work for everything in this bathroom. Depending on your bathroom vent fan, you can separate light and vent function. In this small, simple room, we're just going to keep it all on one circuit, one switch. Now, you don't want to forget this step. A lot of people will just vent right into the attic, and of course, over time, it's going to be too much warm, moist air pumping your attic. You can have mold growing in the attic. Now, if you have a very exaggerated climate, very hot or cold temperatures, you might want to use a better insulated duct for this, so you don't have condensation forming. But you do want to vent your bathroom fans all the way to the exterior. You can even use foil tape if you want a real good seal on there. That looks like that fits great. And then we're going to use zip ties to hold it on tight. Bathroom vent fan, it's good to have two guys because you can have one guy up top and one guy down below kind of helping each other locating things. With two guys, you could do it 1 to 2 hours pretty easily. Good luck. I bet you can do it yourself.
Cutting drywall, you're going to measure and then use a utility knife to cut on the finished paper side, and then it will simply break off and score and cut off the remaining paper on the back side. Always mix your drywall mud so it is smooth and creamy. Here we're sanding the mud between coats. You want it as smooth as reasonably possible, but it will take several coats to build up over time. When you're happy with your sanding of your joint compound, let it dry thoroughly. After the final coat, clean all of that dust and debris off the walls. Honestly, sanding is a breeze with this,
+3 is what they market it as now. It's the blue pail, not the green pail. Used to be called lightweight all-purpose joint compound, USG. Now it's marketed as the +3. It's wonderful stuff, much easier to use than the green label. Okay, here's the primer. We're going over some new drywall and some old dark colored walls, so you definitely want to prime first. The primer has better adhesion than paint and better coverage.
Name brand primers will do an excellent job of covering up old stains, mold, and dark previous paint. Per the manufacturer's instructions, this primer claims it can be dry within 1 hour and immediately go right to your paint. Personally, we are going to give it 24 hours to dry before painting.
Back and forth W pattern and then fill in where you just put.
It's best to cut in the edges of your room and trim first and then do the middle portions.
Installing a vinyl floor. So vinyl floor planks have completely taken over the industry as the easiest do-it-yourself flooring you can do. So many advantages for vinyl floor planks. Mostly waterproof, easy to clean and scrub, very durable, super easy to install, a thin profile so it doesn't raise your heights of your existing floors. In this application, we are actually going over an existing tile floor. Now, the tile floor here is still structurally sound. There's no cracks, there's no low spots, there's no movement when you walk over it. So you can absolutely go over it. So generally you want to start on your longest wall possible. Most manufacturers also recommend a 1/4 inch gap from your finished wall. You can use spacers like this so they keep it the appropriate amount away from the wall. Of course, later they'll be covered by trim in our application. If you're installing in a room where you already have the baseboard trim and don't want to remove it, you'll have a little 1/4 round gap to install. So for your next piece, it's less than a full piece, so you have to cut it. Now with snap together planks, you always need a factory edge going to another factory edge. So the easiest way, instead of measuring that, is to actually just take the plank, flip it over, measure to the wall with your appropriate 1/4 inch gap, and then just do a mark at where that cut is going to be. So when you cut that piece, you'll be ready to go.
This is a cutter specifically for laminate plank pieces or vinyl tiles, but you can do it with just a utility knife and score it on one side and break it and snap it.
You're going to angle it in place and it literally will just snap in position.
In most cases, you can snap it in with your fingers. I do like a rubber mallet to help me persuade it. Here you close up the gaps. Use the leftover cut piece to start the next row. That way you will save materials. Trimming around door jambs is always tricky. Your best bet is to undercut the door jambs and slide the finished floor underneath. Here we're going to have the Vanity installed. Next up is the baseboard wall trim. It's nice if you can time the project that way to do the finished floor and then the trim over the floor. Pass load nail guns are perfect. This is the finished trim model. Of course, you can nail it by hand.
All right, so you want to do as much on the sink countertop before it's installed. You don't want to work on your back laying on the floor. That's probably the worst position ever. So just do as much as possible to get the drain assembly and the sink installed. Traditionally, you use plumber's putty in this gasket area between the sink and the drain assembly. Everybody now has switched to silicone caulk. It just prevents problems and holds up much better.
Here we're installing the silicone caulk around the pop-up drain assembly. Go ahead and use it liberally. You can wipe up the excess later after tightening the drain assembly. Lower it into the sink, tighten it up from underneath. Finger tight is good, and then use a large adjustable wrench. Installing the faucet onto the sink before lowering the sink into position is much easier. With the help of 2 people, we move the Vanity into the room, mark its locations, cut the drain and make any movements on the plumbing locations if needed. Here we had the drain in the way of the drawers, the vanity drawers. So we simply cut the 1.5-inch drain, put an angle piece, and move it over to the left. Solvent weld or glue on your 90-degree drain piece. Use primer first and then the PVC cement glue. Hold the pieces firmly into position for a bit. I usually do at least 10 seconds. Give it a little wiggle and then hold it firmly for at least 10 seconds. Purple primer will stain. Be extremely careful when around finished projects like your finished floor. Here we're working under the vanity, so this area will be covered. So we're moving the drain pipe over to the left to make room for the vanity drawers. This is the perfect spot for the vanity. We couldn't go any further because of the door placement. Here we're getting ready for the faucet connections. You do not need Teflon tape. If the fixture or fittings already have a rubber washer in there, you do not need Teflon tape. You only need Teflon tape if you have a metal-to-metal connection with no gaskets or rubber washers. I see a lot of do-it-yourselfers struggle with this part of the bathroom connection. They always get a leak here and then they try to fill it with caulk or something. So you have an 1.25 inch drain pipe coming from your bathroom sink to 1.5 inch drain pipe. So small pipe into a large pipe, how do you make up that difference? In your drain trap assembly kit, or you might be reusing an old one, but you have 2 washers. You have a thinner one, a smaller one, and you'll have a larger one. You need to use the larger one to make up that difference between the small pipe and your new larger pipe. So the order is the nut, the larger washer with the narrow side facing down, and that will connect up with your drain trap and you'll be good to go. Turning on the water and checking the flow of the water. If it has an aerator, it is good practice to remove the aerator first, just so you're not clogging anything up, because there may be sediment in your lines if they've been off for a little while. Bringing in the toilet, this can definitely be a one-person job if you don't have the tank installed yet.
So this is traditional wax ring, very inexpensive. Traditional has been used for decades and decades. There are more expensive flexible ones on the market now that are 10 times the cost, but I've never had a leak with these ever.
Of course, traditional wax rings are one side only. As you lower it and compress that wax ring, you only get one shot. If you accidentally lower it and smush it out, you then need to reposition the toilet. You do need to replace the wax ring. There is no adjustment after the wax ring is compressed. Here we're testing the water fill. The fill valve is turned on. Screwing in the shower head. Here you do use Teflon tape because it's just metal to metal grooves. Caulking required locations such as where the shower wall met the base. This is a special caulk made for that type of shower enclosure. It has to be rated as safe for plastics, etc. These are the wall sconces. The finish matches the finish of the interior of this bathroom. We have one on the left, one on the right. There will be a mirror centered in the center. Time to install the shower glass door. Here, the shower glass door is pre-ordered to make the size for the shower. So here, following manufacturer's instructions, we're cutting the top and bottom track to fit. It actually was pretty easy to use a wood saw blade to cut through this thin aluminum. Worked perfectly. Okay, so this is a carbide tip blade, so even though it's technically woodworking, we believe it'll work just fine with soft aluminum. Just go very slowly. If there's any excessive burrs or anything, you want to use a file to clean that part up, but this looks good. Okay, so now put in your side pieces and use a level to make sure that's perfectly level, and then mark your drill locations for the holes. There is solid wood blocking behind there because we knew we were going to install a glass sliding door, so we did not have to use hollow core anchors. We had 2 holes where the stud was setting a little too far back. I wasn't happy with the screw butting into it, so we opted to use hollow core anchors in 2 locations. Okay, now with both wall frames in place and the bottom piece in place, you move on to
measuring and cutting the top header.
Here we simply install the glass sliding doors on the top track. Check for the ease of sliding from left to right. If they are binding up, they can be adjusted. There was plenty of holes for adjustment. Okay, so the bathroom project is complete. Everything is finished. We still have very minor details, like I want a new GFI outlet with a bright cover, toilet paper holder, so very minor details like that. But overall, we are there. We promise to be open and honest with you as far as the cost. If you are doing the work yourself, how much you can save. The Delta shower base enclosure, $580. The sliding shower glass door, $600. Trims and flooring, $590. Toilet, plumbing fixtures, plumbing items, $870. Paint, drywall, and accessories, $680. The Vanity hardware, $420. Lights, bathroom ventilation fan, and electrical, $250. For a grand total of, this is the actual cost of the materials, $3,990, or let's just round it to $4,000. So if you donate the labor, if you do it yourself, you can do a complete bathroom renovation for $4,000. This bathroom was quoted by a contractor for $18,000. We donated our labor, did it at exact cost for $4,000. I bet you can do it yourself.